Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Sports Insight. I'm Nathan, and for a special guest today, we have Rashawn Daly. Rashawn has a ton of experience in the fields of sports and media, mainly with mental health, though, because he's a former professional soccer player, and he also founded Rule of Sports Empowerment. Welcome, Rashawn.
Hey Nathan, thank you for having me and thank you for the warm welcome.
Of course, of course. So we'll get right down to it. In my experience as a student athlete, I've noticed that in some environments, whether it be on a field, like a court, whether like no matter what size the crowd is at a game, that sometimes you can get like hectic. It can get hectic, and you can get like overstimulated. The anxiety can take over, some things like that. When you were a pro athlete, or like even off the court or field now, how were you able to manage those feelings, and how do you manage those feelings?
Preparing the right way mentally. Meditation was a very big tool for me and still is. I like to tell people that meditation is the most powerful tool I have picked up on my journey of trying to be the best soccer player that I can be. It's a tool that helped me excel in my game, in my training, and also off the field in terms of my personal growth, my relationships, and so forth. So I definitely have been in a lot of moments where it gets hectic on the field, whether it's because of the fans or something going on with the referee, your teammates, your coaches, whatever the case may be. There's so many factors that can start pulling us in different directions, and you start to feel that anxiety build up, or it might just be simply performance anxiety. You want to perform well and you've made a mistake and so forth. But for me, preparing my mind properly and calming my body down, getting to that baseline before I even stepped on the field, kind of gave me more space to respond. So, the ref makes a bad call, and rather than me responding in a way that may hurt my game or hurt my team, I kind of have some space from it to kind of see, like, okay, that's the ref making this call. What's the next best thing I can do? And if the next best thing I can do is say, hey, ref, like, that call wasn't for us. Or maybe it's just leaving the ball and running back. But it's kind of creating that mental wellness so that you have space to respond in a way that serves you and your teammates when those hectic situations happen. Another big one was positive self talk. Even now in my company, Rule of Sports Empowerment, and in Rule of Soccer Academy, a lot of times when I'm training kids, I also train them on what do you say when you make a mistake. So rather than now saying like, oh, I'm so bad, I'm saying I believe in myself, I got the next one. And I think as athletes and just as people, if we can have those, like, say, 5 sentences that we can kind of go back to as our affirmation in those tough times, those can also be some things that sort of help us keep grounded while we're in those pressured situations.
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I've definitely had some experiences like that. All right, so now we'll kind of shift our focus to what you do now. Why did you choose to focus so much on the mindset and mental health of your athletes in training rather than just being a typical trainer who just trains them skill wise?
Um, because growing up, I always heard the phrase, sports is 90% mental. Michael Jordan says it's 90% mental. I'll watch all these YouTube videos, but nobody really teaches you what that means. Nobody, I like to say every coach out there knows the importance of stretching. You could be a volunteer parent coaching a rec team. First thing you're saying is, kids, all right, we got to stretch. This is very important. So there's always something to prepare the physical body. But if sports, if we're taking this theory and this saying that we all like to throw about as true, right? If sports is 10% physical and 90% mental, why isn't there a mental warm up? Why isn't there a mental recovery? Why aren't we trained in the mental side? And the truth is, I don't know the percentage, but I know that sports is a lot of it is mental. A lot, a lot, a lot. And I know that that's um the biggest piece that separates great players from good players. And I also know that sports can be a vehicle of self improvement and self mastery and self growth, but it can also be a vehicle of self destruction. And having the correct tools to deal with the mental pressures that come from sports in a healthy way, in the way with a growth mindset, and not putting all your value as a person into just being an athlete, but treating the athletes holistically is what's going to keep them on that path of self improvement, self growth, and so forth. Versus ignoring the mental side of sports is what's going to put them down that path of self destruction. And on top of it, just being the greatest player you can be as well. Having those tools to deal with those pressured situations and execute the skills that you have is what's going to separate you in being a great player as well. So for me, when the more I went up the ranks, the more I start understanding these things. Like when I got to college, I really started understanding the importance of taking care of your physical body. Like I started learning stretches that I didn't know, how the ice bath, the heat bath, cupping, all these tools to really take care of your physical body. So that was like a learning curve from youth sports to college. But when I got to a professional, it was even a bigger learning curve now on how to actually take care of my mental health and prepare mentally for competition. So the mental side of it was like the last piece that I like truly learned and got a grasp on. And I realized that that is the most important piece. And I wish somebody had taught that to me when I was 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old. So that's why for me, I try to give this back to my athletes to set them up for success on and off the field.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. So how was your mental health, do you feel, as like when you were an athlete as opposed to like how does it affect how you live your life now? Like how has it changed the way that you think your life would have gone had you not been a professional athlete?
Man, I want to make sure I'm understanding that correctly. So,
Yeah.
like, if I wasn't a professional athlete and developed those mental tools, how it would have changed my life now?
So like how was your mental health when you were an athlete and and just like how has it affected how you live your life now? So just like, do you think if you hadn't been a professional athlete, your life would be mental health wise? Do you think your life would be going different than it is now?
I think so. I think so because, I went through my most challenging times as an athlete. Um, which not even I wouldn't even say the most challenging times, but I went through like my pursuit of being the best player that I can be and being a professional player and getting to that dream was sort of like my vehicle that took me in all the challenges and all the success and all these things that kind of like helped me learn more about myself and being forced to take care of myself. So what I mean by that is 2020, I got on a flight to Vegas. I was signed with Cincinnati, went to Vegas on loan, landed in Vegas on Wednesday, went into training on Thursday, and they said that the country's shutting down. I'm now stuck in Vegas in a pretty much a hotel room that they had us staying in. I knew no one in Vegas. My car was in Cincinnati, and all the unknowns happening. At the same time, being in Vegas wasn't really like something I really wanted to do because the following off season I'd worked so hard to stay at Cincinnati. I lost 10 pounds. I was playing the best soccer that I can possibly play. But the coaches had other plans. They literally told me after training, I can see that you want to show more now, Rashawn, but we have signed Brandon Vasquez, who's a great player, and we have another player coming over from Europe. So I was in a situation where, like, my like I'd worked so hard and I'm coming in to prove myself and to get that success, but then things outside of my control made that not even possible. So then I had to go to Vegas to play on loan. So already dealing with all of that and other personal things in my life. made it very challenging. And from that was probably some of the most challenging moments I went through as a pro and trying to figure things out on the field and grow my career and so forth. And that was sort of what like took me on that journey of like, okay, I'm really about to dive deep into just like going after what I want to go after and becoming super disciplined, building a routine, sticking to my meditation practice and so forth. And then over time that sort of just like became the norm. I developed these tools that I can bank on and that kind of became the norm, which has led me all the way through my life up until now. So, like just being able to be more authentically me and not this image of, oh, I'm a professional player, I need to be this way. And now that I'm not a professional player, I can just like accept me for who I am, and my career is no longer, this is now what I'm doing. And life throws other pressures at me in a lot of different way. I'm a new dad. About a year ago, I lost my dad. I started a new business and so forth. And those things come with a lot of pressure and challenges. But because of that pursuit that I went on to become a professional player and everything I developed from that, it prepared me for these moments. And that's what I mean when I said my most challenging moments in life wasn't when I was a pro, but the because it's the things I've dealt with now. But if I didn't have the tools that I developed as a pro, I don't know how I would have been dealing with my situations right now. So I'm very grateful for my career and the path that it set me on. And that's why I believe sports is a vehicle for self improvement, self discovery, self mastery, and all these things, because that's what it was for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So now we're gonna shift again to just how was your experience with the media when you were an athlete? So just really straightforward. How was your experience with the media as a professional athlete, and how did it like affect your performance?
My experience with the media, it was various different media platforms. Social media was a big one. I was on social media. Um, just the people commenting, uh, me posting on social media, post games interview, pre games interview, and things like that. And it definitely puts you under spotlight. Um, and a lot of times, if you don't really know how to block out the noise from the negative that comes from the media, but also the false positive, like thinking you're better than you are because you're getting some attention, because you're getting some like on Instagram, and now you're not being your authentic self, it can definitely derail you from your dream, from what you're really like there to do, and that can impact your game in a negative way.
Yeah. Yeah. And how did you learn to just keep your head down and not pay attention to the media criticizing you or your teammates? Because I know in our meetings before you've said that you just basically ignored it all. So yeah.
It's about knowing what you want and kind of grounding yourself like, okay, take professional sports for what it is, right? Like professional soccer, it's a group of guys in a team. You have a coach, and we're coming together and training every day and figuring out how to win games. And if that's your job and your job is to win games, how can you ground yourself in, okay, what's going to help you to win games? Being the best player you can be, supporting your teammates as much as you can. So then now you break that down and develop the tools. How do you train? How do you recover? And so forth to kind of break down what you need to focus on and kind of like keep your focus there and let the media be the media. Let the media do the media's job, which is to criticize, um, to put you on the spotlight as well when you're doing good, and just kind of like allow that to be that and you focus on you. And it's tough when like the media is saying that like you're not doing great, or somebody's commenting that you sucked and you should have scored that goal. but you gotta kind of come back and be like, okay, I didn't score that goal, but why didn't I score that goal? Okay, this is why I didn't score that goal. So let me go work on this and focus on this because this is my journey. That's just somebody that don't they, they don't know what you're going through when you're on the field. So you just kind of have to let them be fans and hecklers. That's a part of the game. I actually saw LeBron James the other day said that he came down the elevator one time when he was in Cleveland, and somebody was wearing a shirt that says like F LeBron, and both of the guys was wearing that shirt in LeBron's side, and then they were like, don't worry about this. Don't worry about this. We're just here for the Eckler. We love you. We love you. So there's that aspect of like, this is my team. This is your team. My team is gonna win. Your team sucked. That happens with it, and it's just being able to kind of again like create space from all of that and focus on you.
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely understand that. I was actually about to bring up something with LeBron too about how, like, before games, how you were saying how nobody does like a mental warm up as opposed to stretching or a physical warm up. I've seen things where LeBron will, like, in the locker room before games, he'll like read a book just to make sure his mind is like straight and everything. And I feel like that's just like a good way to be. Make sure that you're just in the know, making sure that you're not in the wrong headspace before a game because you never know what will happen like the day of a game. You never know if something will happen that'll deteriorate your mental health. You just want to make sure you're in the right frame of mind. And yeah, I feel like that's a great way to be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've seen even Draymond Green talk about how like people don't understand that when you have a game at 7 o'clock, that's your whole day is like preparing for that 7 o'clock. Like you're trying to put yourself in situations where you avoid something happens to deteriorate your mental health. And maybe that means staying off social media. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't need to be seeing something happening all the way across the country that's going to impact you negatively, and you have this thing here to focus on. But there's also the aspect of like life happens and you can't run from life, so how can you be as grounded as possible within yourself so even when those things come you have the tools to process them and move forward and be in the right headspace for what's at hand. And that's the same thing like regular life. Like if you're working a 9 to 5 job and you got to come home to your family, how can you have the tools to stay grounded in yourself and process the things that's happening there so when you come home you're not putting your stuff on your family and not burnt out and so forth. So it's the same for life as well. That's the beautiful thing about sports.
Yeah. All right. So I think this will be probably our last question because we don't have too much time left. But how can athletes better prepare themselves for just like media responses in general and just like be ready to, I don't know, just be ready for the criticism, just whether it be good or bad, just to know how to handle it.
I think they can meditate. um No, they can 100% develop some sort of tool, whatever it is that they can use to kind of recenter themselves, whether that's journaling, meditating, a breathing exercise, um, listening to music, reading a book, going for a walk, whatever it is, like develop some sort of tool that helps you to clear your mind and also feel your emotions. Because when you do that, you can then be more grounded, more centered, more present. And with that, you're able to handle the different things that pull us, whether it's the media talking bad about you, or just the pressures of being on a big platform, or just the pressures of playing U10 soccer and parents are on the sideline and coaches and referee and your teammates. It's all the same. It's just about developing those tools that they can kind of bank on to kind of help them refocus, be grounded, and stay on the path of their journey.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with that. All right. So it's looking like we're just about out of time. So I just want to thank you for being on here. It means a lot. thank you for helping with my project and being my overall mentor.
You're very welcome, and thank you for the opportunity to be on here as well and to be your mentor. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and also thank you for the topic that you picked because you're shedding light on something that is very, very important. So thank you.